I've got the Diamana 5th Gen shafts here. They're all 80TX. I've got the TB, PD and GT. I'm going to give them a whack and see how they differ. I'm using them on the Callaway AI Smoke Max, 9 degree on neutral settings, weight in the toes, standard weight in the bottom there, 2 grams. And I'm just going to launch them up in there to a nice wide fairway. I want to see what the difference is in height, peak height, speed, curve, all that lovely stuff. And maybe a little bit of feel. So this is a hole at King's Barnes. It's got loads of room on it. Not really fussed about how wide I hit it. I just want to let the shaft do what it wants to do. Same sort of shot. Similar sort of distance. Yeah, I've missed the widest fairway ever. A little bit straighter, still got a little bit of draw, tiny bit. Not bad, not bad. It's a little bit annoying because I've lent my triple diamond head out so I don't have it. Probably would get a bit of a flatter flight, a bit of a lower spin launch with that, but it is what it is. We're looking at what the shafts do anyway. Let's go from there into the GT. So the GT is like the all silver chrome finish with a little bit of flower band at the top there. I have spine aligned all of these shafts. So there's a little machine that basically puts pressure on each end of the shafts and you spin the shaft round and it sits in a certain place and it always flicks back to that same spot. So that finds where the spine is in the shaft and I basically put that in the same orientation with each shaft. So we just get the raw movement and profile of the shaft through the golf ball. So I just want them on the same loft settings. Now off the top of my head, I don't know which shaft is which in terms of what they should do, which is perfect because I don't want to be biased in this sort of like little test. I just want to feel like I put the same swing on the golf ball. That does feel stiffer at the tip. It doesn't feel like it wants to turn over as much. Now ages ago I did hit these on a Cobra head, but I did something weird. I think I'd like tried to hit every shot as low as I could to see which shaft launched the ball up and which shaft kept it down. Here I'm just putting normal swings through the ball. And that definitely is harder to turn over left, GT. Nice. Now in an 80 gram shaft, it is quite heavy. I would expect myself to be slower than I am with a 50 gram shaft by quite a long way. And I'm not getting the big boy shots that I normally get with like a Velocore 5S because it's a completely different profile of shaft. But I largely quite like that. I did manage to turn one over. It just took me a couple of shots to get into it and get it to go that way. So I can hit the left rough. That is my normal shape, to be fair. I just had to work harder for it. Now we go for the PD. This is sort of like a grey chromy one with the white detail on the top. Again, same 80TX. Let's see what we're looking at with this. Tiny bit high on the face. Tiny. Did feel softer. Did feel like I had a little bit more help through the ball. Okay, launch and spin were pretty good. Speed just down. Need to put a bit more beans into it to get an 80 gram TX flex. To go faster, I didn't read it. Very nice, just easier to get through the ball. I'm not having to put as much force into it to get it to react. So yeah, PD, that could be the softer profile. Might not. Oosh. At 80 grams TX flex for me, I don't get as much speed through the ball, but they tend to reduce in. They tend to do what they're told a bit more often. So if I wanted to go for accuracy, I'd go for a big, more forgiving head and go really heavy and stiff on the shaft because it's quite a nice combination for hitting fairways. Nice flight on that one, little draw. So peak height wise, I've got 4 yards of variance at 128 average with the TB. I've got 122 height with 10 variance. So I've got more variance with the GT. I would say the GT in a fitting scenario, I'd probably want to like take that out because that variance is bigger because of the profile of the shaft against my swing. Even though it did kind of like hold up quite well against some of the others carry wise, Bit more variance there, not ideal. Although my carry variance 2 yards, 4 yards, 2 yards, tidy. But peak height, fairly consistent. The two that I trust the most is TB and PD. They're the two softer profiles. This one felt harder. My delivery, 3 into out, 2.9 into out, 2.7 into out, and coming into out the same with all three, give or take. Quite tight, 4 up, 3 up, 4 up. Okay, so the profile of the GT is probably manipulating how much up I can get on it because it's a little bit stouter at the tip. Speed-wise, I am putting in 110.3, 110.9, 110.7. My speed is very consistent as well. And then, okay, a bit more ball speed, even though swing speeds are quite similar from the GT. More stable tip, stiffer feeling shaft, lowest launching one, spin, lower launch, higher spin, higher launch, lower spin. We're there or thereabouts. There's not a huge difference between the three. I think I saw more difference last time, but the blue one at the top there, so this blue line here, hugging that left-hand side a bit more, I just got a bit more out of that TB in terms of like draw. I got less draw from GT and PD comparatively. There's not one of them that's jumping out between the three. I would kind of go a bit more on what feels better between them. They're not separating that much. Do they really need 3 models? They could take one of them models out quite comfortably. If I go back to the table and look at the draw spin, I've got PD 262 draw spin, GT 377 draw spin, and TB 475 draw spin. So I've got more draw as I get into the TB, which is cool. Less draw from the PD. On that note, because I tend to turn it over a bit more, I feel like the GT was a little bit too hard. I would be looking at the PD as my shafter's choice between these shafts in their entirety, just because I get less draw spin. I maintain quite decent like carry and stuff, and like the feel's not bad at all. Speed's not the slowest out of the three. It's not far off the GT. The GT just felt like a little bit harder work. But please do jump in the comments if you want me to compare that PD that I prefer out of these three to the Velocore Black 6X. Or I'll see if I can get a heavier Velocore to compare it to make it fair, because this is 80 grams. Jump in the comments and I'll make it happen if there's enough people asking for it. But enjoy yourself, have a good weekend playing golf, and I'll see you on the next video.